Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Unsinkable Youth Student Event. My name is Lacy Hartselle, and I am an ambassador for Unsinkable Youth. I am also an actor and a mental health advocate. And I think it's no surprise or secret that this year is a challenging year, that this is a difficult time for all of us in many different ways. Especially speaking to the broad audience here, you guys are students for the most part. Y'all just started a new chapter that involves more change, more adjustments, and those are exciting things, but those are challenging things to navigate. So I just want us to acknowledge the discomfort, acknowledge the grief that this year has involved. For me, we all have experienced grief in different ways this year. Grief of the loss, because grief is loss, but the loss of routine, the loss of turning to our healthy coping mechanisms, the loss of people. It goes on and on. The loss of the expectation that you had starting out your first year at college. You have in your mind what that's going to look like. And I feel for you guys and with you guys, because I really enjoyed my first year several years ago. That was super sociable, and there were no thoughts about wearing masks or being scared of others and what we could catch. But I actually, at the beginning of the pandemic, I lost my grandfather, and his favorite song was Happy Trails, and we sang that at his funeral. And one of the lyrics from that is, some trails are happy ones, others are blue. It's the way that you ride the trail that counts. And I think that's kind of the message that's helped me throughout this year, is my perspective about what all is happening in front of me. There's so much that's out of our control, but when we can focus on what's in our control, which is our reaction to what's in front of us, we can help ourselves experience a lighter, version of being during tough times. Perspective, expectations. I think it's good to have goals and to have things to look forward to. But I think sometimes expectations can get us stuck in a way of, I only will be happy if it goes this way. And the truth is, things aren't always going to go the way that we want them to. I think this year showed us all that. We might have had hopes for what was going to happen this year, and most of that stuff didn't happen the way we thought it would, at least. But I think that there's another way of thinking that has helped me this year of maybe it could be even better somehow. Maybe I'm learning something deep from this that isn't seen, that isn't material, but that's happening within all of us. And so I hope, that you can find peace and comfort in knowing that you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now, and tuning into this whole event. Like, you're supposed to be communing and connecting with all of us and the stories that we're here to encourage one another with. And I hope that this little escape for this next hour will help you to be filled up with hope and have a new, fresh perspective that things are going to go well, and to be pleasantly surprised by the unknown and what's about to unfold. So now I would love to introduce to you guys Monique Coleman. She is an Emmy-nominated host, an actress, a producer, an activist, founder of the TV show Give Me Mo, which is about empowering youth to bring about positive change in the world. She is a United Nations champion of the Girl Up campaign, and I knew her immediately as Taylor McKessie from High School Musical. So, Monique, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Lacy. And honestly, I appreciate everything that you had to say so much. Your sincerity. This has been a really challenging time, and it's been difficult for everyone, no matter what. I think taking that step back and really being reflective is challenging for everyone. And I just so appreciate your candor, just being so open about what it's been like for all of us. And just so well spoken. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you so
much. So, for me, I feel like I spent a lot of my teens and 20s with this notion that I was kind of waiting for my life to begin. I had this expectation that there would be some sort of milestone or some moment that signified that I was finally like in the game, or that I'd get some notification that my life had finally taken off. And sadly, that never came, at least not in the ways that I had expected it or hoped it would. And, as amazing as High School Musical was, even that wasn't it. I think I always thought that fame would fix the things that were broken in my life. But I learned from that experience that there was no photoshopped image on any poster that was going to teach me how to love myself, that was going to mend my relationship with my family, that was going to give me the confidence or the resilience or the will to be who I know I'm fully called to be. If anything, that experience actually shed a light on a lot of the places inside me that really needed to be healed. And I've learned throughout my life that my most profound growth actually usually came because of who I needed to become in order to overcome my most challenging moments. That it was never the things that I had really looked forward to and that were so exciting. It was the times where I had been betrayed. It was the times where I felt completely lost or didn't know what was right in front of me, or times that the remedies that I tend to go to. I'm a very spiritual person, and I feel very blessed to have lots of different tools, from meditation to affirmations. And there's times where even that doesn't work, and that wasn't helping me at all either. I found that in moments when I really need strength, I am given really tall mountains to climb. In times where I need personal growth, somehow friends just start to randomly disappear. Any time in my life that I've needed to develop compassion or forgiveness or discipline or trust or self-love, I'm always presented with challenges in that specific area. And I share that because I first wanted to acknowledge and deeply empathize with your current situation and circumstance. And I just want to say that I'm so sorry about the hand that you've been dealt. I know that many of you were longing for a campus experience, for new connections and friendships and parties. You were excited to meet up, just like I got to almost 20 years ago, to join activities and have all the things that you thought would happen your first year come true. And it's true that that could have been so amazing. However, we don't actually know that. How many times have you had an expectation that something was going to be incredible and it was just okay, or it was worse? We spend a lot of time on our devices currently, viewing the world through a really tiny screen, imagining what's just beyond the borders of that frame or behind the smiles. But the truth is, we don't know. All we know is what we're working with in this present moment. And as limited as that may feel sometimes, there's so many more possibilities and opportunities than we realize. In most situations, we have something to be grateful for, and we also have something that we wouldn't mind if it were different. Life is full of contrast and duality. And although these are unprecedented times for us, this isn't actually the first time that the world has simultaneously been impacted on a global scale. I want to remind us that obstacles breed innovation. So never forget that Apple, Google, and Amazon were all started in a garage. Facebook was started in a dorm room. And there's no reason why you can't create something incredible from right where you are. And that doesn't just relate to academic achievement or success. Personal growth is the root of any and all success. And most of the time, we don't actually get to see our progress while we're in it. Most of the most transformative experiences of my life actually felt really awful while I was going through them. It wasn't until I got to the other side of it and I was able to look back that I realized how those moments had really forged and shaped me into the person that I became. And that goes for so many people. Great leaders and artists and innovators often emerge from historically tough times: the Great Depression, wars, civil unrest. And now I understand that your challenges are unique to you and to this generation, but you also have to remember that you have tools that have never existed before in time. And this time that we're in right now, this moment is temporary. However, the character that you develop during this time will be lasting. I know for a lot of people my age, we look back and think of our late 20s and early 30s as the time of this massive growth in our lives, because that's kind of when you're confronted with the reality of life. But as difficult as it may be, I would go so far as to say that you are actually being confronted with similar experiences and challenges at a much younger age. But by dealing with these things now, learning how to accept and overcome them, you'll actually have the tools that will prepare you to navigate life in a much more sustainable, healthy, whole, and happy way. So I want to encourage you to feel all of your feelings and to grieve all of your losses. But then I want to remind you that regardless of a pandemic or quarantine or otherwise, you have a purpose, and that has not changed. I know for myself, I went to school, and my peers went to school to find ourselves. And sadly, most of this generation actually lost themselves instead. But you get an opportunity to have the veil pulled back and to be the writer of your own story. And I just want to tell you that you are stronger than you think you are. And there are some tangible things that you can do to be prepared to handle any situation. And it's so amazing because Lacy actually touched on a lot of these things when you were speaking. The first one is to manage your expectations. And what I mean is really to focus on being present, to being in this moment and accepting our current circumstances. That does not mean that you are okay with it, that you are happy with it. But once we accept the situation that we're in, that's when we can begin to transcend it. And a lot of times it is our expectations that get us into trouble because we're trying to match a real life experience with something that has happened inside of our imagination. And when we do that and we hold on so tightly, we don't give ourselves room for something more magical and more incredible to happen. The next thing is to embrace duality, to realize that nothing is perfect or pure, and rarely are things all bad. So developing an attitude of gratitude or developing a gratitude practice can be really helpful because that gives you a chance to reflect on the fact that no matter what is going on or how difficult things are, there is always something that we have to hold on to be grateful for. And the last thing is to acknowledge multiple perspectives, to realize that there's always more than one way to look at things. And even with the dreams and aspirations and goals that we have, many times they take us away from something else that we also loved, like our loved ones or time to develop relationships or develop other parts of ourselves. So I think the more we realize that there is no perfect place that we were ever going to arrive to, and that the place that we are in right now is, like Lacy said, exactly where we were supposed to be in this moment. And although we may not be able to see the end from the beginning, and we may not understand why we're being faced with these challenges today, we have the opportunity to believe that these challenges are not just shaping us in order for us to survive, but that they're giving us the tools to thrive in the future. A lot of times people say that young people are the future and that you're the leaders of tomorrow, but you are not the leaders of tomorrow. You very much are leading right now, today. The choices that you're making, the things that you're doing and the ways that you're collaborating and navigating this time is going to shape the future. And the things that we've gotten to learn through this pandemic, to appreciate nature, to appreciate time with our loved ones, to really look within and to have this personal growth, to take the time to have an entire event about our mental health, to take that pause, to honor ourselves, to honor who the person behind our work and our school. These are changes that have been needed to have been made for a very long time. And so I just want to encourage each and every one of you to stay positive, to stay honest and true to your journey and your process, and to trust that everything is, in fact, coming together in a way that is whatever we decide it to be. We get to write our story, we get to choose. And my hope is that we write a story that is a more sustainable, healthier, and equitable future for everyone. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Monique. I was taking notes. So we have a few questions that you guys have sent in for Monique, but first, you guys check your emails because 65 of you have just received a free pizza from Domino's. Ooh. Fun fact. But now let's get on. Okay, so first, Monique, we have a question that says, what is something that you would say to your younger self right now?
Oh, I would tell myself, don't take yourself so seriously. And that I can do anything. I think so, you know, one of the things that really held me back growing up was just self-doubt, and I would outsource my power a lot. And that's actually until very recently as well, where I just didn't feel smart enough or good enough to do things. And so I would always look for someone that I thought was better. And I would look back and I would say, go for it. You can do it. You know, don't outsource your power.
I love that. I love that so much. And then believing in like you're equipped for the dreams that you have.
Yeah. And if you're not, you become equipped, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely. Step into
it. Yeah. You don't have to always be ready. A lot of times we don't take that step because we don't feel like we're ready, but we're not going to be ready until we are in that experience. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. You won't know. Yeah. So another one says, how have you been dealing with your mental health throughout COVID?
If I'm honest, it has been a struggle. I think I went through lots of phases. I went through the overachiever sort of Taylor McKessie phase where I was like, I'm just going to write a show about everything and fill my whole schedule with all of these activities. And then I burnt out and I was like, oh my God, I can't get out of bed. I need to practice self-care. And it's been a little bit of an emotional roller coaster, but one that I'm grateful for because it's helped to kind of shine a light on the ways that I still push myself too hard. And I tell other people all the time, we're human beings, not human doings. But I find myself when my back is against the wall or I'm feeling when I'm struggling with my mental health, I find myself kind of leaning into being an overachiever. So just trying to learn to have more grace with myself and to let down and to not look at that as weakness, but to actually restore. You know, I think this whole time is a time that we can restore ourselves, but we have to let this space that has been created stay empty, and that's something that I find I myself struggle with currently, and I'm looking for ways to stop doing that.
All right, so the third question we have is, this sweet person said, as a young Black girl, I am so inspired by you. What is it like to be a Black woman in the film industry, and what are some of the challenges that you have faced, and what have you done to overcome them?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the biggest challenge that I faced is the lies that I let myself believe about myself. The ways that the industry can sometimes make you feel not enough, or that like hold you to a certain beauty standard or a certain stereotype. I think that's been really the biggest challenge has been having enough self-love and enough respect for who I am to not allow myself to fall into that and to kind of maintain my integrity. And one thing that's been really helpful is just surrounding myself with other beautiful, strong women and having, you know, powerful role models who I can look up to, and just watching people be big, brave. You know, I think there's kind of generations before where had a little bit of I'm just happy to be here sort of mentality. And it was different. But now I think, you know, moving forward, recognizing that small things would be different. Like if I were to do High School Musical again, Taylor would have natural hair because that would be important to me today. And that's just things like that didn't exist then. So I definitely see challenges, but I see a lot of progress as well.
I love that. Thank you so much. I think we're going to go into a little portion right now of video.
Hi everyone, my name is Erin McLeod. I have been one of the goalkeepers for the Canadian National Women's Soccer Team since 2001. I'm 37 years old and still kicking a ball around, if you can believe it. But one thing that has really been important in my own personal life, but also in my career, is just continually investing in my own mental health and mental resilience. Sometimes you go through a lot of dark times and hard times and injuries and whatnot as an athlete and as a student and as a human being. So it's one thing that's always worth investing your money and time in. So enjoy the conference. I wish I could be there to join you.
Hi everyone, it's Sally from Monowales, and I am sending you the best wishes for this new year from my own little bedroom. And I know that 2020 has been a really strange year, and maybe starting this way wasn't what you expected it to be, or the rug has been pulled from underneath of you, but it's going to be grand nonetheless. And you're going to learn so many cool new skills. You're going to be an incredible self-starter. You're going to be an independent person. You're going to have really cool ways of learning how to communicate with each other. And all of these are going to make you so much stronger and so much more creative in the field that you're in. And I just want to give you a little tip. What I do when things get too difficult or too tough is I either reach out to a friend, it's always okay to lean on somebody, or when you don't have someone to reach out to in that moment, I either put in my headphones or turn up the volume on a really great track that I love, and I dance around this very own bedroom. I will be dancing all around these corners all by myself. Or I'll make a Zoom call where I'm literally like, let's dance with my friends. So I hope that helps you dance some of your troubles away, and you have an incredible rest of your day and an incredible rest of your year. Peace out.
Wow, thank you so much, Sally. I think that so many of the words shared this morning have been so powerful. Piecing out grand, all the less, Monique's words about self-esteem, about self-love, of no outward success being enough to make up for what you don't have inward. And listening to Lacy and Monique, just thinking about how I loved what Monique said about, you could be thinking that first year, had it been the way that it was supposed to be, being the most incredible thing. But like, how do you know that? All that we have right now is what we have right in front of us. And that's what we're all dealing with during the pandemic. But I also really want to echo all of the people who've spoken so far in acknowledging the losses and acknowledging the grief of what you're going through, and just really letting you guys know that we are all with you. Our hearts are open. We wish we could virtually give you all a hug and just tell you that we want you to get through this. We want you to emerge stronger, knowing that you're also experiencing grief. We listened to a lot of students before putting this together. I'm Silken Lauman. I'm the founder of Unsinkable Youth, four-time Olympic athlete. So happy to be here. And really the reason we put this together was we wanted to give you guys something. We wanted to give you something to celebrate you and to acknowledge some of the things that you were going through, but also to kind of provide hope and maybe some insights around resilience. So the panel that we've put together really is around that theme of resilience. We've got some very cool people on the panel, including Lacy Hartselle, who of course is an Unsinkable Youth Ambassador. Thank you, Lacy, but she's also a movie star. She has won Best Actress 3 times in a row in the Nashville 48-hour Films Festival. She has her own podcast called It's Temporary. I listened to it last night. It's just fabulous. I recommend it to everyone. We have CFL legend Pinball Clemens here. He's an icon in sport in Canada. He's now the current general manager of the Toronto Argonauts. He has his own foundation in his name, and their mandate is moving young people from the margins into the mainstream. It's a man who has a huge heart. I'd like to introduce Dr. Kush Amaria. She's the Senior Clinical Director of Mind Beacon. She counsels young people all the time, and she's going to give us some tips and some strategies. We have Michaela Brewer here. She's a Yale graduate. She's a youth ambassador for us, a researcher and a mental health advocate. And I'm going to turn it over now to our moderator, Ella Nugent, who is a poet. She's a first-year student, so she knows exactly what all of you are going through, and an Unsinkable youth ambassador. But before we hear from Ella, let's hear from a few more students.
I was really excited to explore the university, meet new people.
Something that I'm worried about is doing class online. I'm not going to have learned as much as some of my peers that are a couple years older than me.
You should just kind of form clubs in a smaller group.
Increasing communications among students.
And providing lots of individual time for students to reach out to professors.
None of my university experience is going to be normal.
Being alone all the time was pretty depressing.
You know, I'm just trying to stay more in the present.
Okay, everyone. Thank you for that powerful video, and Silken, thank you so much for that warm welcome on behalf of the entire panel. So I guess we should just jump straight into it. Again, my name is Ella. I'm a first-year student, and I'll be moderating the panel today. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm joining you from my empty dorm room. And it's been a strange start to the school year, to say the least. Everything from the fact that all of my classes are like, I'm alone in my dorm room, to the fact that I check the news every single day and I feel like I'm gonna get an email that's gonna send me home like at any moment. So I think that a lot of students, including myself, have been experiencing anxiety about the future, about getting sent home, about feeling like they're not gonna do well in this new setting, and just general fear of the unknown. So Lacy, can you share some ways that some students might handle those fears and anxieties? And then Dr. Maria, can you speak to some ways students can manage that anxiety?
Sure. Thank you, Ella. Yeah, I'm diagnosed bipolar, but before receiving my bipolar diagnosis years ago, I at a young age was diagnosed with anxiety disorder, and I've always experienced it in a pretty extreme way, and it manifests itself differently the older I get. So I understand the overwhelming physical and mental experiences of anxiety, and especially, why don't you compound that with the pandemic? And then also, you know, first year of college, that's not the way that you were shown it was supposed to go. So with so much out of our control right now, what helps me is to develop a routine day to day that is in my control. And when I focus on what is in my control, I learn to trust myself, that I'm equipped to handle whatever's in front of me, whatever's thrown at me. And I have to be very intentional with this. I even have a planner that's like a law of attractions planner that helps me. And I speak my affirmations every morning. I wake up and I do yoga. And even for me, like I can't even have too much caffeine sometimes at all, because that caffeine ramps my anxiety. So it's knowing yourself, it's experimenting, seeing what works for you, but knowing that, you know, if we've got like this neutral zone and we're already in a pandemic and thrown back a little bit, why don't we add in as much positive stuff as we can to counteract all that's out of our control and floating around.
Those are such great suggestions, Lacy, and it sounds like they're tried and true methods for you. So the first thing I'll remind everybody that is anxiety is a normal human experience. And if you're sitting there listening to this and you don't have anxiety, I probably would be a bit more concerned. We should have some anxiety when we're faced with things that are full of uncertainty or unknown. You know, and the first thing we have to do is accept that it's here. And then also build that hope that we can develop strategies. And there's a toolbox actually that young people and all people can build with different tools. So it's not a one size fits all strategy. You know, the first thing I would say is we all could do a little self-therapy. And the best way to do that is actually to just start noticing what you're anxious about. Pay attention to your thoughts. You know, I kind of bet that when you're feeling like your anxiety is spiraling out of control, your thoughts are spiraling out of control. You're starting to think about all the worst case scenarios. You're saying things like, well, I'm never going to get through this. Everything's going to fall apart. I've got no help around me. And if you can catch yourself when you have those kind of anxious thoughts, what you probably will also be able to do is try to build more balanced thinking. Try to have thinking that is a bit more realistic. There are real problems in front of you that you have to figure out how to solve, but you don't have to solve those problems that aren't here yet. So you're right, Ella, what if you are sent home? That's not something you need to figure out just yet. What you need to figure out is how can you make some friends while you're on campus, right? The other thing I'll remind everybody of is anxiety is in our bodies. We feel it in lots of different ways, and we can't actually feel anxious and relaxed at the same time. So it goes without saying that we all have to build our relaxation strategies, and they're different for everybody. You know, the simplest is learning some really good deep belly breathing. And I remind people it's a skill you learned. It's not something you just say, oh, I'm going to do it when I need it. It's a skill you practice. So make a pact with a friend that you're going to download an app, learn how to do some really good belly breathing so that when you need to sort of tone it down a bit, you have a tool in your back pocket. Lacy already touched on another strategy that's so important for everybody, which is routine. You know, we're humans and we thrive on predictability. There's so much we can't control right now. So figure out what you can. And I think that's something, I hope all those strategies that any first year, second year, fifth year student can sort of put into play right away.
Thank you both so much for that advice. I will definitely be taking that into consideration for my anxiety, especially the thing about the caffeine, because my coffee intake has gone way up since starting university. So I'll remember that. And I liked what you were saying, Dr. Maria, about being aware of your thoughts and being aware of what makes you feel anxious, which kind of leads us into the next question, which is for Michaela and Pinball. Can you share a time when you felt uncertain about yourself or your future and how you handled it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the nature of our lives is uncertain, and of course, more now than ever. And I'm thinking of my freshman year. I had to spend time away from basketball. I was a varsity athlete at Stanford, and I had to spend time in the psychiatric ward of the Stanford Hospital to take care of my mental health. And I mean, that was like the most uncertain time in my life. I was not sure if I was ever going to play basketball again. And I was in this kind of space of waiting, and being so unsure of what was going to happen next. And I mean, I really had to dig deep inside myself and just find hope and compassion, and just really see that there's so much value in being present and in being able to learn from those times of uncertainty and waiting, and how much that can help you grow. And so I was able to come out of that, and I'm still playing basketball. But it's just really like faithful patience, I think. But yeah, that's me.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. I am at my best because I'm all in the midst of women who are more talented than I. And that's been my whole life story. My beautiful bride, her mom was she was the best mother-in-law in the history of mother-in-laws, and her name was Ella. And so Ella, hello, and thank you for shepherding us here today. And I've got 3 girls, and they're all smarter than I am. And so I do want to say that when I think about sort of one of those low times, I was drafted in the NFL and made the team. And the next year came back and I didn't make the team. So, you know, 1 year is, wow, you've achieved your dream. I was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs, and the next year I got cut. And obviously a big sports fan, and I see that there are a few more of us here on the panel as well. But more than that, what I really learned is that life is a team sport. Let me say that again. Life is a team sport, and it's not designed to do alone. So we don't do life by ourselves. You can rise alone, but you have to land at home. Now, home doesn't have to be in your home, literally, right? It could be a parent or a brother or sister, right? So home is somewhere that you are comfortable. right? And when I say that, this is what I mean. When I made the team, I remember getting in my car and playing a song by a group called The System. And it was called Don't Disturb This Groove. Move! I was feeling good. I was a professional football player. And I said, don't disturb, and I won't sing it because I can't sing, but don't disturb this groove. I could be like this for the rest of my life, right? This day doesn't have to ever end. And then when I got released, that was a different day. So when I had to land at home. And there were a few different options. I called my mom first, and after that, I called my now bride, at time my girlfriend, and then I had a few personal friends that I called. But the biggest thing I want you to remember is don't do life alone.
Mm-hmm. Really great advice. I think that when you're feeling uncertain and you're feeling stressed and you're not feeling like yourself, people tend to isolate themselves. It's definitely happened to me. And I think that loneliness has been a common issue among students, especially during a transitional phase like first year university and a global pandemic. So Lacy, can you share a time when you felt lonely and how you've dealt with that? And Dr. Mario, would you be able to share some advice from a strategy standpoint?
Yes, thanks. I laugh because I struggle a lot with feeling alone. Part of my bipolar experience has been, and I think with mental health, we have to, like Dr. Mario was saying, kind of catch the thoughts. We were supposed to catch the thoughts that are negative or that aren't serving to us and our souls, And so the thought that I really struggle with, there's two. It's either you're not enough or you're alone, and like no one gets this. And it's kind of back to what Pinball was saying. It's like that feeling of alone, like we're not meant to feel alone, but that's like one of the first negative thought patterns that we might, become vulnerable to. And I know in my extreme bipolar experience, which I go full to both sides of the poles, my hypomania, my major depression, I deal with suicidal ideation a lot. And I've learned to find a comfort in it because I know that it's temporary. And it's all part of, it's kind of like Monique was saying, that contrast, that duality. Like bipolar will really show you duality and on an extreme level. So I feel like I have to remind myself sometimes that, I honor my feelings and my thoughts. They're there to guide me and to help me become aware. But if something is not serving me and making me feel better, then what is it there and how can I challenge it? So I'm trying to get better. It's a constant work in progress of reaching out to people when I want to isolate, and knowing that if I can dare to present myself to people in the version of myself that I think is not presentable, then I can then learn to lean in and have confidence that that version of me is acceptable and is lovable. And it's okay to not have it all figured out or have it all together. So, yeah.
That's great. And I think you hit it on the nose, and thinking about that. This is something that you have to set yourself up for. You already know what's going to be the biggest barrier for you to reaching out for help when you need it the most, which is being able to overcome this idea that there's an obstacle that you can't present yourself at that point. And I'll remind everybody, we are social beings. Humans are social beings, and social connectedness, this idea of being connected to others, is actually a protective factor. And it's an important factor that we all need to strengthen right now as we face adversity. And we're all facing this globally, as you said. The other thing to think about when it comes to loneliness is we have to use some problem solving. We have to truly figure out, what are those obstacles to being connected? Are you having this like all or nothing thinking where you say, well, if I can't be on a sports team with my friends, then why bother? Rather than thinking, well, I can't get what I want out of that. Why don't you think about what you really want? Do you just want some one-on-one time with your favorite friend from the team? So be creative, figure out how you're going to do that. So solve those obstacles before they're there. Try to figure out how you can prepare for those times where you probably need to reach out the most. And I think it's also important to remember that every dose counts. every little dose of connecting with others counts. So even if, again, if you can't do that big trip away with your friends and your, or a party, maybe you could do something that's going to help you feel better and stay connected to others. We have to remember that we really are all in it together. And it may not feel like that when your dorm doesn't look the same or you're at home instead of being on campus, but we are in it together. And there are ways to really, take advantage of that. Think about, setting yourself up to make 3 new friends in the next month and figuring out how you're going to do that. Learn the name of somebody who lives down the hall from you, if there's anybody there, for example.
Thank you so much for those responses. And I think that connecting with people really is a way that we as humans need to take care of ourselves, similarly to like what you guys said. So speaking of taking care of ourselves, let's talk about the phrase of the year, which is self-care. So for me personally, my most valuable self-care strategy is probably speaking to my loved ones, my friends and family almost every single day. So can each of you share what yours is? I don't know who wants to start, but just jump in when you're ready.
I could start. I would love to say I'll talk a little bit about why self-care matters from a professional perspective. And the first thing is that self-care is not fancy. It's not a yoga retreat. It's not fancy, having a bath with bubbles or whatever. It's an activity you do to refuel yourself, build your resiliency, and prevent burnout. And so I'd love to be able to be honest and say, oh yeah, my self-care is exercise every day. I'm not trying to win Olympic medals or anything like that. But the reality of, my self-care is Netflix crime dramas. And been watching reality show. And I'll be honest with that, but that's my time to refuel, to get away from my responsibilities without any guilt. And that's an important part of self-care.
I love that because I definitely relate on that, like having that trash TV to like zone out to sometimes. But I even have a list in my planner that's like good things to do. And it's the fun little things that you wouldn't generally think are like beneficial, but it's like, I will enjoy that. I yesterday put on a record and improv dance like a goon around my apartment. I will put on roller skates, and I'm a newbie, so I fall on my butt, but like that's humbling and it's fun, and it makes me feel empowered to learn a new skill and to feel like a kid again and not be afraid to fall. I think that has taught me more like in a greater scale of things. But I think I have as my background on my phone, self-care is not selfish, because I think where I grew up in the South, there was a part of stigma. I think it exists everywhere, but this feeling or understanding that people imply that self-care is selfish. Like if you're tuning into yourself and choosing yourself and saying no to things, having boundaries. I wasn't taught those growing up. But trusting that you don't have to please everyone. You can say no. You can say, if that person's upset that I can't go to that thing with them, that's their emotion to deal with, not mine. I'm not responsible for their emotions. I'm responsible for mine. So what out of these, I say make a list for yourself, but what out of this list of things is going to make me feel better, feel more connected to myself, more like Dr. Amari was saying, more in that relaxation state, whatever that looks like for you.
Thanks, Lacy. And let's wrap up quickly with Michaela and Tinball.
Yeah, I love that you said it's something simple, and it's what like helps you refresh and make you feel better. So for me, it's just like this little tiny cardboard box that I made when I was in the hospital, and I just have sticky notes in it of like all the things that I love, and and I can tune into also writing down the people who I can guarantee love me, and I just have those on sticky notes in that box. And so when I'm really down, I just dump it and I start reading those sticky notes. That's been super helpful for me.
All right. Well, I have a little bit of a 3-pronged approach. One is when I just want to have fun, I binge watch. Then if I'm a little bit more disciplined, right, I like to steward today. Because when you take care of today, tomorrow takes care of itself, right? And so I try to make the most I can of this particular day. And then when I'm really good, I'm philanthropic, because it's hard to worry about yourself when you're helping someone else. And so I can have a 3-pronged approach. So when I'm good, right, I'm helping somebody else. When I'm just having fun, I'm binge watching.
Thank you all so much. And thank you guys so much for your vulnerability and for your honesty when answering these questions. I know it can be a bit difficult to get personal, especially when this is streamed to a whole bunch of strangers who are looking for your advice. So I, as a student, really appreciate your advice and your honesty, and I know that everyone else does. So I think we're gonna pass it over to our next guest because we're going to be seeing something really incredible and I'm very excited to see it. So thank you guys again so much. And yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julia Champa, and I am from Ignite Student Union. We're proud to be a supporter and sponsor of Unsinkable. I'm excited to introduce you to one of RBC's top 25 Canadian immigrants, a poet, and a motivational speaker. He's delivered TED Talks, was featured on TV with Selena Gomez, to inspiring thousands to follow him on social media. He's used his platform for positive change. He's performed for President Barack Obama, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Seth Rogen, and he's even freestyled with hip-hop artist Kendrick Lamar. And he's made his mama proud with a diploma from U of T. Please welcome Wali Shah.
This was supposed to be your best year. Instead, it's left you feeling defeated. But remember that what seems like a curse could be the blessing that you didn't know you needed. Just as it takes darkness to appreciate the light, we needed 2020 to give us 2020 sight. We'll never turn back time, but our past can guide us where to go. You could complain about the pain, or use your pain so you can grow. So, find your greatness in your lows, because even a flower needs rain before it grows. It takes being covered in snow to appreciate the sand. It takes being lost at sea to appreciate the land. You've seen riots and murder, and you've been the people who take a stand. And where there's ignorance, there's opportunity to lead others to understand. 4 years from now, you will remember these times. You'll think back to this poem and remember these lines. Who needs a mirror to reflect when the earth is full of signs? It's the rocks under pressure that become the diamonds which shine. And 4 years from now, you'll shine too, and you'll travel the earth. You'll remind other freshmen that through hardship we find worth. 4 years from now, you'll remember people you said hello to, the friends you made on Zoom you then met and then you spoke to. You'll graduate with them and have a group chat that you send jokes to, with all that cheesy stuff, the type you'll never find at Whole Foods. Though this sucks right now, it will be better in a while. I can't see you smiling through your mask, but your mask made me smile. And online learning isn't easy, but soon you'll be in class. And in 4 years, like all your courses, all of this will come to pass. Thank you. Best of luck with first year, everyone. My name is Wali Shah, and it was a pleasure to write and share this poem with all of you. I'm wishing all of you the absolute best and sending you so much love. Peace.
Hi, guys. Wow, that was an incredible piece of art just then. I'm going to have to go back and watch all of this. But I wanted to tell you guys to go ahead and check your emails now for more things. Unsinkable hoodies, tees, and Subway cards. Keep an eye out for those. And what's next is a performance by JP Saxe.
Hi, I'm Aylin Chant from Huron University. We're thrilled to be sponsoring Silk and Laman's nonprofit Unsinkable by sponsoring tonight's awesome event. I hope you've all been enjoying yourselves. I'm now super excited to introduce you to our special musical guest. He's a Toronto-born, LA-based singer-songwriter. He's known for cutting beyond the surface and helping us connect to universal emotion and human experience. His duet with Julia Michaels, If the World Was Ending, received overwhelming attention, and I can't wait to hear him perform. Everyone, please help me and welcome JP Saxe.
Thank you, Aylin. Hey, everybody. My name is JP Saxe. Really happy to be a part of this with you. I know that being okay is more complicated than your average year this year. But the only thing that's ever really made me feel okay when it's not simple consistently is remembering that I have people I love that care about me, that I care about too. So here are some songs, and I'm sending you all so much love. My therapist called you a learning experience. 180 an hour, that's all that he mentions. Missing you's getting fucking expensive. It's been 10 months now. There really ain't too much I figured out. There was just something about being wanted by someone who never knew what they wanted. And I've seen some other people who are nothing like you. That's probably why it works and why it never could. I'm holding on to nothing, don't know how to let it go. So even if it's out of my control, I try to explain you to myself, but you never seem to sound right. No matter how I try to explain you to myself, I hold you close. Tell me the memories that you miss the most. I loved you fully, but I'm growing up now. I loved you fully, but fully means more now. And I've seen some other people who are nothing like you. That's probably why it works and why it never could. I'm holding on to nothing, don't know how to let it go. So even if it's out of my control, I try to explain you to myself, but you never seem to sound right. No matter how I try to explain you to myself, you never seem to sound right. No matter how I try to explain you to myself, you never seem to sound right. No matter how I try to explain you to myself, you never seem to sound right. 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 Thank you for your virtual appreciation. It's late. I'm filming this late. But you know, with middle of the night comes vulnerability. It's where I wrote most of these songs anyway. And that's the whole point, is it not? I have one more song for you and no more rambles. This song is called If the World Was Ending. I hope you find a new way to, love yourself today or tonight. It's a complicated task. Now that I'm saying it, it might be hard for me too, but I'm still gonna try. And that's got to be a win for tonight. Remember when I said the rambles were done? I lied, but here's the song. I was distracted and in traffic. I didn't feel it when the earth earthquake happened, but it really got me thinking, were you out drinking? Were you in the living room chilling, watching television? It's been a year now, think I figured out how to let you go and let communication die. I know, you know, we know you weren't down for forever and it's fine. I know, you know, we know we weren't meant for each other and it's fine. But if the world was ending, you'd come over, right? You'd come over and you'd stay the night. Would you love me for the hell of it? All our fears would be irrelevant. If the world was ending, you'd come over, right? Sky be falling while I hold you tight. There wouldn't be a reason why we would even have to say goodbye. If the world was ending, you'd come over, right? Right? If the world was ending, you would come over, right? I tried to imagine your reaction. It didn't scare me when the earthquake happened, but it really got me thinking. The night we were drinking, stumbled in the house and didn't make it past the kitchen. Oh, it's been a year now. I think I figured out how to think about you without it ripping my heart out. And I know, you know, we know you weren't down for forever and it's fine. I know, you know, we know we weren't meant for each other and it's fine. But if the world was ending, you'd come over, right? You'd come over and you'd stay the night. Would you love me for the hell of it? All our fears would be irrelevant. If the world was ending, you'd come over, right? Sky'd be falling while I hold it tight. There wouldn't be a reason why we would even have to say goodbye. If the world was ending, you'd come over, right? You'd come over, right? You'd come over, you'd come over, you'd come over, right? And I know, you know, we know you weren't there for forever and it's fine. I know, you know, we know we weren't meant for each other and it's fine. But if the world was ending, you'd come over, right? You'd come over and you'd stay the night. Would you love me for the hell of it? All our fears would be irrelevant. If the world was ending, you'd come over, right? Sky'd be falling while I hold you tight. And there wouldn't be a reason why we would even have to say goodbye. If the world was ending, you'd come over, right? You'd come over, you'd come over, you'd come over, right? If the world was ending, you'd come over, right? Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. Have a beautiful day / night / whatever it is when you're watching. Sending love. Goodbye.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the event so far. My name is Jonathan Weiss. I'm a psychologist, professor, and director of the LaMarche Center for Child and Youth Research at York University. The LaMarche Center conducts research into promoting wellness and resilience in kids, teens, and young adults. Our members do so by studying things like brain health, physical health, mental health, and social health. And we do this by collaborating with communities across the country and around the globe. Now, of course, I'm delighted that York University and the Faculty of Health are co-sponsoring this event. Listen, this is a stressful time for you. This is a stressful time for everyone. And your resilience, your mental health matter. If you're a York University student, make sure you check out YU Better Together for more resources on how to support your wellness and your mental health. Now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce 4-time Olympic rower, and founder of Unsinkable, Silken Laumann.
Oh, thank you very much. And I do want to thank all our sponsors today. We couldn't do this at Unsinkable Youth without the universities and the colleges that were behind us, York, Humber, Huron College. Your support has meant the world. And of course, Mind Beacon, Student Life Network, and really special thanks to our partners who power the human power behind our organization, and that's Good Life Fitness and Intact Insurance. JP Morgan, that was, did I say JP Morgan? I mean JP Saxe. That was an incredible performance, so emotional. There's a few more thank yous I want to fit in. A big thank you to our youth committee, Abby Copeland, Daniel Kilburn, Ellie White, John Perry, Carl, and Nicole Hare. Hold on to those who are listening, because we've got more prizes. We've got that $500 scholarship that we're going to be announcing. Thanks, Keisha, for creating those youth videos, and thanks everybody who contributed in video or song or speech today. Check your emails to see if you're winners of the Freshie gift cards and the Unsinkable Youth tie-dye track pants. They are so cool. And I will be announcing the name of our scholarship winner in a moment. But I got a bunch of sticky notes on my computer. So many things that I have taken away, and I hope that you've taken away today. I don't think there's been an event that's occurred since COVID started where people have made themselves so vulnerable. And there were so many messages that I just want to reiterate. Finding hope was what Michaela said, that life is full of contrast and duality, is what Monique said, that you can't feel anxious and relax at the same time. We heard that from Dr. Alamari, that we don't want to outsource our power. We want to stay in our power. Again, from Monique, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. That's a tough one in the middle of a pandemic, that we're exactly where we're supposed to be, but we can't see the future. We don't have a crystal ball. And maybe everything that we're doing right now, everything that we're experiencing right now is going to add up to something that we don't yet understand. Pinball Clemens told us not to do life alone. Find your team, find your tribe of people. It doesn't have to be a whole bunch of people. I'm the kind of person, I have a small group of people who are my tribe. Those are my people that I like to go deep with a few people rather than have a lot of different people. I heard that you can have an amazing life. You don't know what's ahead of you. That no matter what the obstacles are, no matter what we're facing, Sally on the video told us that life can be grand. So I am wishing all of you first-year students, all of you who are in university right now, that you're building some resilience, finding some hope, and taking care of yourself so that you can get through this year with greater resiliency, greater perspective, and maybe find out that you're the class of 2024 who started university in the pandemic and will have resources that nobody else has. So our prize winner for a $500 tuition from Student Life Network is Ritu Oberio, and I'm going to spell the last name. It's O-B-E-R-O-I from York University. Thank you all for joining us, and be well.